Hey y'all, I wanted to do a little garden tour. Now normally we're busy with camps and vacations and just busier during the summer than we are during the school year sometimes. This summer, as you know, is a little different. So our gardens had more of a chance than it ever has. We normally get a good start and then start to run around and end up with just tomatoes. Before we get started, I should say this in part was inspired by Roots and Refuge. Jessica has a great YouTube channel. She's in Central Arkansas and they have a ginormous garden and she actually knows what she's doing. So you should go check her out at Roots and Refuge. Great Instagram account, very good channel, all of that. Well, if you know me very well, you know that I tend to bring home treasures from, the metal scrap pile, from the sides of the road, from any time we go to the swimming hole, that sort of thing. And one of the things I just can't get enough of is galvanized stock tanks. Anything galvanized I'm kind of a freak about. I was farmhouse chic before Joanna Gaines, or before we knew about Joanna Gaines anyway, I guess. So as we walk through the gate here, you can see that is repurposed from an old bed, a headboard. You'll see the footboard later. So what I've done to put hinges on this old headboard is the hardware that you would normally use for a chain link fence, we've just applied it to the headboard, yeah. So it works out pretty well. I have had to add a little to the top because, you know, you can't keep a goat in. I found out pretty early on. I even used to have a whole series that the kids and I watched not long ago. Had its own intro and everything. Every time the goat got out, I'd just take the camera along while I chased her back in. Well, here's a familiar scenario. We've gotten a lot better at building fences since then, but still, you never know about a goat. I was telling a friend one time, hey, somebody gave us a free goat. And he goes, there's no such thing as a free goat. I found out why. So as you pass through the gate, you'll see I've got a lot of reclaimed brick and pavers. If they've got letters on them, I'm putting them in the car. Well, you know, if the owner doesn't mind or they don't really belong to anybody. Yeah, right. So I kind of think of this garden as a cross between a cottage garden and a potager, I think that's right, like French word for like a organized, like segmented kind of garden with permanent paths. So a cottage garden has flowers mixed in and just kind of found objects. So here we are, a cottage potager, I think, is what this is, perhaps. So as you come in, you see the trail divides, and we've got a big flower bed. There's also corn mixed in and sunflowers and some wild things that volunteered on their own, which, okay, fine. We're not really sweating it too bad. We're just kind of trying to enjoy it and not make a job of it. So we've got flowers along the side of the path here. I love zinnias. They're so bright and easy. There was a sweet potato vine there that was really looking great, and somebody put their house pig out to graze one day, and the house pig pushed in the garden gate and got the sweet potato vine. Well, moving on back, you can see I made a ginormous teepee for our green beans. These big bamboo poles I acquired when we took down a barn, and they were inside and the owner didn't want anything, and so we brought them, and they've been kind of stacked up, and I figured out what to do with them. I don't know how tall that is, like 15 feet maybe, something like that, maybe more, but they were really big, so I wanted to make a teepee and kind of close up 3 sides so that the kids would have a place and just be kind of fun and whimsical. And then we've got some concrete pads there that when we tore out the porch of our house before we moved it to its current spot, those were on the porch posts. And so I held on to them for all these years, and now they've found a purpose too. So when I come by these stock tanks, I just grab them, and especially those oblong ones that are similar size, kind of are really cool in a row together, are nice. But this one, I just like the look of it, and it's probably too big to be very practical, but we finally got it filled up, and I had our lettuces, and the lettuces have just gotten too hot now, and we pulled them, and we had some tomato plants started in between the lettuce, and then to the side there's some onion. There's a few that have made it. It's not great, but you know, it is what it is. In this stock tank we've got corn growing. It had a head start ahead of the other corn that's directly sowed in the flower bed and over to the side. So kind of got a succession planting thing going, which we've never really been that great at, but this is progress. Well, our compost tank, which is kind of how we built up the soil in the other ones, we dumped a bunch of old peanuts that somebody gave us. I thought for sure we'd roasted them and they just sat forever. I assumed they wouldn't be any good, so we just dumped them in the compost. They started to grow. I've never grown peanuts, but we're gonna have a bunch, it looks like. So we gave up composting in that container, and we've now started a new compost container. This little short container, I don't exactly know what's happening here. We thought it was going to be cantaloupe. Appears to be a yellow squash and or a zucchini in there too. And then the twins went back. I wasn't sure what Jamie had put in, and the twins put carrots amongst all that. So interesting companion planting, but it seems to be working. These are some little metal rings I've found, so they're open on the bottom. These tomatoes are just in native soil, which is mostly heavy red clay and rock, so they are not growing nearly as fast as everything else in the good soil, but we're giving it a try, and I just need to kind of water that a little extra, I think. On this bed footboard that echoes the gate, I don't remember what that is, some kind of squashy thing. Just came up with a new container at the scrap pile the other day where I frequently shop, and it was in great shape, and I don't have a circle that's that small. So those bigger stock tanks, those ginormous circles, I might turn one into kind of a patio bench kind of thing, put a decking on top, and we can sit on it in the round, you know, kind of thing. So along the way I came across this fire hydrant. I really like the lettering and the color, and I thought it might make a cool outdoor kind of table thing. I'll have to find a top for it. But also it's turned out to be a really good hose guard. So I kind of have a path that'll take the hose, and it's so heavy that the the hose just drags right alongside of it and doesn't come over into any plants as I'm dragging it through to water everything. So that's really handy too. Then finally, back over next to the gate, an old tank out of a clothes washer, and it's kind of really cool. It's got this enameled speckled thing going on. It's a really nice color, and yet more tomatoes. Well, that's it. It's weedy, it's trashy, it's stuff I've just carried home from here and there. But it's our garden, and it's the best one we've done yet, so I thought you might find it interesting. If you were not aware, I also am a kind of an antique / junk dealer, so I kind of get to do the picker thing every now and then, and we normally go to a few antique fairs a year. This year has been different, but if you'd like to follow along with those shenanigans, I'd like to make more video along the way in the future too. You can follow Rusty Bus Goods on Instagram and on Facebook. Life's what you make it. Let's get our hands dirty. Look up here, goat.